Okay. So with this, let's start with today's session. Today's session requires a basic knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I expect you guys already have this knowledge about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Basically, all the web projects needs it. So not an issue with this, I guess. Next, we would need AMP validator to be set up, and the way to set up AMP validator is to just go into your Chrome extension and search for AMP validator over there, and you will be able to download this extension, which will help you see the errors in the AMP pages. So, if some of you, if you want, if you are following instructions with me, which you can do in even later, it's not an issue. So you need a AMP validator in order to check whether your AMP page is validated or not. Then also we will need to go through AMP documentation at regular intervals in order to actually see if we are able to use the right components for the development or not. So again, a little hands-on on that. So today we will be creating our first AMP page, and I'll be leading you through the detailed instructions of how things happens. Unfortunately, I won't be showing you the live code demonstration, but it's close to the live code. We will be doing it in playground also, so wouldn't be an issue for you to understand. So I want you to understand the concept fully rather than actual code implementation, so that you can do things on your own. So what we will build, we will be building this cool looking web page, which is Chico's Cheese Bikes, and this will have a page section with the thumbnails carousel like thing. Also, will have a sidebar so that you can navigate through the site. It will have a video embedded inside it. So we will see how you can actually create a beautiful page like this using AMP only. So starting our journey, the first thing we obviously need is to declare our AMP HTML document, and that you can do by just simply using HTML, this AMP bold emoji sign blank en. This is an optional tag, but you need to use HTML and the bold icon. Or otherwise, if you don't want to use emoji, you can also simply write AMP. So this way, actually, the validator knows that this is a AMP document, and also it starts. The browser also starts fetching everything as an AMP document. So this is the most important part that you would actually need inside your project. Next thing, to check on the validations part, as soon as you code something, you hit the validator and check if this thing is valid or not. And if your page is valid, it will be automatically cached on the Google AMP Cache. And this is what we wanted to discuss today in much detail, which we didn't discuss yet yesterday. And I'll be talking about the AMP Cache also. The AMP validation will also help you to have full scores in accessibility, performance, and other web vitals that are offered via AMP. So another question, hello, how you get that sign? So that emoji thing you are saying, you can easily go on Google, search for bold emoji, and you can copy paste it, or you can just add AMP as the tag if you want to add it to your document. The next thing is AMP validation. This is what we talked about. And if you are able to get 100% AMP valid page, then you will be able to get this bold sign, which doesn't happens immediately, but it takes a little bit of time, like 2 or 3 days, until your page is SEO optimized. And then you will be able to see this bold icon in the Google search results and will load your page instantly. So these are some more important things that you should mind if you are implementing AMP caching. So you should these images and fonts are cached, and there should be a limit to the dimensions and the image source, the size of the image that you are loading over there. And obviously, always use compressed images in JPEG format. PNG it takes more time, but if you want transparency, then you can go for PNG, or WebP is also a good standard that you can use. And always sanitize your HTML in order to prevent any attacks from happening if you are going to use something like a form or an input behavior that can actually make a backdoor for the hacker or something like that. So about the caching, now some of you might already know what a CDN actually works like. So in terms of AMP caching is powered by Google. So basically, imagine if your web server is actually located in this New York city in America, if this is the correct implementation if I'm giving. So, and you are a person who is surfing the internet from somewhere in this thing, maybe this is Singapore, I guess. So usually your request will travel from this point to this point to this point until reaching the actual location. So that is the main reason for your website loading slow. If it takes like 2 or 3 seconds, probably because it's traveling a longer time and it's taking too much time in traveling to the request. But if you have AMP cache, Google has its own edge servers located in every continent, in every country. And these edge servers actually cache the copy of your web page if they are AMP enabled and serve them as soon as somebody clicks it. So that's the reason why AMP powered pages loads fast on Google search results. Yeah, Raja Vikrant has a point that WebP doesn't just works in Safari. That's true. That's why somehow you need to have a fallback loading image as JPEG. But if your primary user is on Chrome, then you can definitely use it. So going further, now we will be doing our first exercise. That is how we can actually use validator. So for this, first of all, what we'll do, we will review our website using the validator tool and see if it is valid AMP or not. So to do this, for example, if I go back to my page and this is a normal looking HTML page, I've already installed AMP validator over here, and you see that it doesn't shows anything like a red icon or a green icon or even a blue icon. So that means it doesn't has the AMP capability at all. Another way to verify it, if you go and inspect this code of this HTML, you will see it is a normal HTML page. There is nothing declaration like AMP HTML or anything like that. Now, at the same time, if you go to another page which might have some issues, like let's go to this link. So this again is not, this has a canonical AMP link, which will take you to the canonical link of this page. And in this case, it is just for search engine. But let's go to sample projects that we were doing before. And this website is, I guess, events.com/it. So this is an AMP website and it has some AMP errors. And when you click on the AMP errors, it will show you what are the errors and on which line they are actually located on. And if there are no errors, then obviously this will be green. And if there are errors, they will be shown in this format. So this is a way how you can actually use the validator. Going back to our actual deck. Next, how to actually debug errors is very simple. You just need to go to the error that you are seeing. For example, here is an error: custom JavaScript is not allowed, because we know that AMP doesn't allow custom JavaScript. So you just need to click on the debug, and this will take you from the AMP page, the one that you were using, to the validator page, and you will be able to see a detailed description of what is the error. In this case, this is a script tag that is used by JavaScript, and inside this we have implemented our own JavaScript function. And for AMP as concerned, custom JavaScript is not allowed, so this is not the proper way of writing this code. So this is the error that you are able to see in this page. Let's go back to our deck. So next, if you also see at the same time on the debug, right to the debug button, there is another button called as learn more. So the learn more button will actually take you to the AMP documentation, the official documentation guide, and it will actually tell you what is more specification for that rule. So everything is like click and go, and everything is on cruise control. You just need to use the AMP validator and see if everything is valid or not. At the same time, if you see that this website actually is a AMP valid website, so this is showing a green icon without any error warning. So let's move further. So this is a validation glossary. For example, this is the same error that we were talking about. Custom JavaScript is not allowed, and you will be able to see what are the issues, what are the code name, what does that code name actually means in this, and how you can actually fix it. So everything you have to just follow the guidelines that it gives. So the AMP boilerplate, we saw a little bit about this yesterday, and we'll go in detail about the AMP boilerplate code today. So it's the first thing you actually need to do is to declare HTML bold icon, which identifies your HTML document as an AMP document. And next thing that we'll do is this inclusion of different things inside the head tag. Now you don't need to remember this. There is a snippet code that is available. You just need to copy and paste this thing, and then you have to add everything on top of it when you are declaring your things. So a cool thing to see is that the body remains same. This is where actually your code runs. So there is no JavaScript execution that you need to do in order to run anything. It actually goes inside the HTML body tag only, and you have to write AMP HTML instead of generic HTML. So these are not declaration. We'll be talking about one by one the declarations that we use. You have to use meta, and you have to use this canonical link. So for canonical link to understand, imagine it like what your website copy looks like. Like imagine if this website is just for mobile users, but you are using for the desktop users. So Google search engine actually needs to know this thing so that it doesn't create duplicates of search results on Google search page, and only one copy of that page is stored. So that is why canonical link, for example, if you are on hello world1.html and it's canonical to hello world 2, so you will add hello world2.html in the canonical link relationship in this line. And this is a requirement for AMP. You cannot skip this part. If you don't have canonical link, you can mention the same page as the canonical. Then you have to add some viewport settings, like what is the device width, how you want the person to behave. Like sometimes you have seen websites on mobile view, they have some x-axis drag, that's scrolling. So to prevent that, you have to add this particular line that prevents that thing from happening. Then this is a AMP styler boilerplate. Again, you don't need to mess anything up. You just need to add whatever AMP gives you in this thing. This is for animations, how different things loads in AMP. And this is again a boilerplate code. You don't need to worry about learning this thing. It's just copy and paste. Then you finally load the script of AMP project asynchronously like this, and this URL changes with time. Maybe the time you will be using that, the actual version is changed to V1 or V2. So you have to check on the AMP project website what is the latest version of this usage, and you can implement it over here. So next is CSS inside AMP. Most of you were asking how you actually can implement CSS. So you can use this CSS tag in your head that is called style AMP custom in the head tag, and you can write as many as inline style as possible. But this is not right. You can only write CSS that is less than 50 KB, and 50 KB is a lot of CSS that you can actually write, and usually people don't go on to that far. But AMP has this limitation so that there is no way that your website loads slow. So 50 KB of limitation you have to obey. Then you can't use important symbol to make any style important. You just need to come up with a better way of displaying things. If there is a repetition of elements, you need to just render block one of the things and implement one thing. So you cannot use actually important tag and do this thing. If you use important tag, ultimately you will see that error inside the AMP debugger, AMP validator, and you will be able to rectify it. Then some of the CSS settings are not supported by AMP. There are other ways and methods to actually implement those things. So for example, you may know the transition effect in CSS, which helps us to move one place object from one place to another. AMP also doesn't allow the transition of these elements. So you need to check with the guide. If there is an error, you can't use that CSS inside that. Then this is a sample of how AMP CSS looks like. You have your own style elements, you have AMP custom written on this tag, and then you implement your CSS like you would do with a normal HTML page. These are normal HTML tags that you can use. You can also use classes and divs. It's okay, no problem with that. You can't use important more than 50 KB of CSS, and some of the styles are limited. So apart from them, everything is good. You can use these things, and if you are creating your own web page, you can use this particular style language to implement that. Now let's go to the exercise 2, that is converting your existing web page into AMP page. So for this, again, we need to add some boilerplate code. You already know about what boilerplate code is. To just quickly repeat, you need to include AMP in the HTML syntax, include AMP library in the script tag, include the boilerplate styles again, Yeah, so Umaid has a question. Can I explain canonical again? Sure, I will do that. So basically, what happens is sometimes a publisher create different copies of the same website. So some of these pages are optimized for mobile, sometimes they are optimized for desktop. If you would visit on YouTube, they have a separate link called as m.youtube.com and then youtube.com. So, but the content actually will remain same in that mobile site and the desktop site. For search engine to know that it has to return only one result in both of these cases, you have to mention the canonical link. For example, on youtube.com slash video one, for example, is the video link. And for the same link, the mobile link is m.youtube.com slash video one. Then in the desktop version, you have to mention that the canonical version of this link is actually on m.youtube.com slash video one. So this is the way how you actually can implement the canonical link. If you want, I can also show you a live example of how a canonical link actually looks like. So let's see and go to embed.com again, which is my favorite site if I want to show an example. Now you can see that it has AMP access available, and this is possible only because there is a canonical link implementation. If I go and inspect this thing, you will be able to see all the things that are included. Uh, yeah, let me zoom in so that you can see clearly. So let me actually find out that link for you. It should be in the head tag, and this is link relation for the icon. Yeah, you see this link relation canonical, and then the canonical link for twembed.com is content.twembed.com. So this is how the Google web search engine actually knows what is the canonical web page to this page. Yeah, cool. So let's move ahead back to our deck. Okay, so then you need to include the canonical link, viewport meta, and again, this link, yeah, I'll be sharing this deck with you after the completion of this today's session. And you can click on this link, directly go to am.dev, and this is the boilerplate code you need to include inside your first am document. So this is all you need to do, and then everything that you do is inside the body tab. So you don't need to remember any of the code. Moving further, again, adding styles, it's simple. You just need to include the AMP custom styles, and then your style is ready to go. And whatever error appears, you go to the solution in the AMP validator and you'll be able to fix it. So this is how easy it is to convert all your existing HTML pages into AMP pages using the help of a validator. So these one by one, you go to each of the validation until there are zero errors. Now, one important thing to know about whenever you are implementing everything inside uh, AMP is to use everything as a component. So let me read out this question. Can we make the website actually responsive and not have a different development for mobile? Yes, Onkar, you can definitely do that. In that case, your canonical link will be same. If you are not having any other website, then the canonical link is always the same link. You don't need to put a different canonical link in that case. But sometimes, in order to give optimized experience, e-commerce website, YouTube, or any other publisher website creates a different version of that website. So in that case, it is needed, and canonical is actually in order to facilitate that version. Otherwise, it is fine to go. So coming back to the point about components, so everything in app actually happens in forms of component. Any HTML, div, tag, anything that you ever imagine is actually available as a component inside AMP library. So let's say what you could do with components. You can embed YouTube videos, you can embed image carousels, you can also include social sharing links, and AMP has almost every component for everything. I will take you through the documentation and show you all the components in a while. And this is so what is actually a web component or a amp component. It is a block of code that actually inflates. It contains HTML, CSS, and it's inbuilt JavaScript already, so that you don't need to include anything in that. For example, if you are implementing a carousel, you have to include your own JavaScript or jQuery in order to click button and then move the div. AMP has an inbuilt function that we will see in the upcoming slides of how you can do this without writing a single line of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So for that thing, we actually use components. So component can do almost everything. So component can be found on this link am.dev/documentation/components, and there are so many components that you can ever imagine. And you can just click on search and search for what application you want. For example, you want something for Twitter, so you can click on the search, and then there will be a component for the Twitter over here. If you want something else, you can just search it out and see. Every component has different capabilities for different platform. In case of AMP, website, stories, ads, and emails, which we will be learning later. And you'll be able to see what are the capabilities of that particular component in different platforms. So let's get back to the course. Then this is another example of a AMP component, that is a AMP IMG. As you can see, instead of using a generic IMG tag, which we use in HTML most of the time, instead we are using AMP IMG tag, and we have these parameters written over here. And these are responsible for creating a component that inflates as an image. Again, if you want to include a Twitter tweet, this is how that looks like. For YouTube, it looks like this. All the information is available with each individual component, and I will be giving an example how you can customize this too. So there are three types of component. One is built-in components, one which are already included inside AMP. Whenever you import AMP library or declare AMP library, you get these components built in. You don't need to add any other instructions. These things are like AMP IMG, AMP pixel. And again, you don't need to remember this thing. Whatever component you want to implement, go to amp.dev, find the component and see how it is implemented. Other type of component is extended, where you need to include other additional scripts, such as for AMP Twitter and AMP YouTube. You might need to include another JavaScript into library into your HTML document, and that will do the job. And the third type is experimental, which are not ready for wide use yet, but still they are used like kind of experimentally available for early adopters. You can try it in a website; it will work fine. Then this is how you include the extended components. You add the script async tag, then add a custom element, add the name of the custom element you are including, and then the src of the library that you are including. So it's same as how you include the AMP tags. Yes, you can get all the slides, Jyoti. I will be posting these slides later on our Slack, and you will get the link from there. For IMG, is there a requirement to add different CDN link for different sizes of same images? No, you don't need to do that. You just need to include one image, and AMP optimizes the image for different sizes itself. We'll be talking about this example in coming slides. So answering your question on that. Next is, let's go with our first component and let's see how you can actually implement AMP IMG in your document. So AMP IMG is a built-in document. It replaces the default IMG tag in HTML, and it automatically supports lazy loading and dimensions for different page sizes. So Omkar, your question is now answered. It automatically does the lazy loading for you, and it automatically has different dimension capabilities for smooth page layout on different pages. And these are the properties, required attributes, src, width and height, which generally are available with css, but you have to add them as an attribute inside the AMP component. So you include the image something like this. You have AMP IMG tag, and then you have src for your image, that is the link where your image is actually hosted. You declare the width and height, and if you want to add more attributes, you add it as the attributes you have seen over here. So arranging the size and components, again, you can include things like layout responsive, which will automatically make your components responsive. And these are the different layout attributes that are available with AMP image, that is fixed, intrinsic, responsive, and more, that you can find in the documentation. Again, you don't need to remember anything. You just need to go to the document and find it out how that component looks like. For example, let's go to AMP documentation, amp.dev. Let's go to documentation and components. Let's search for AMP IMG, the documentation example that we are trying to do. So you will see what are the supported layouts, what is the example. You can also see the example of the code, which will give you a playground example, a ready to go, this big way of seeing things. So you don't need to copy and paste all code in your computer and then run it. You can see the example, run example using the playground that is available with all components. Then you can see the behavior, the way their images are displayed. You can also open any snippet that is visible on the documentation directly in the playground. You can see this thing in action. As you can see over here, this is the amp img tag that we were talking about. Now if I change the width over here something like 200, or oh, I made it 92. So you see everything changes according to the different implementation that I'll be giving. And if I change the layout to be something else according to the documentation, that will be implemented directly over here. So after you check your document, if it's working fine in the layout, you go ahead and add it to your HTML. So let's go ahead and see next example, that is embedding a video. Video can be Vimeo video or YouTube video, anything like that. So to embed video, you cannot use iframe that you generally use for HTML. Instead of that, AMP has inbuilt what is lazy loading. Yeah, so Deepak, lazy loading is the effect. If you have seen Instagram, when you open it, the images don't open as like a pixel, like dropping like a pixel. So it opens something like it is blur first and then it becomes clear later and later. So that is called lazy loading. So AMP has this effect inbuilt. So lazy loading actually makes your whole project looks little awesome. A person doesn't need to wait. He can just see the blur image and then he can see that. How AMP SRC is different from normal SRC HTML tag. So, for example, AMP SRC actually you will use inside AMP IMG tag. Now you cannot use IMG tag inside AMP HTML because it's restricted. You can only use AMP components. So AMP IMG tag and then SRC will be used in order to import everything if you want to import in your project. So let's go ahead and see how you can embed a video. So video can be YouTube or any video from any other source. For this example, let's go ahead and add a YouTube video to our website. And this is the example of the website YouTube video. For example, if you want to include, you just need to copy in the YouTube link of this video, and then you have to use the AMP YouTube tag that is available and include the video ID inside that. So again, the layout should be responsive, and also don't forget to include the script tag for including this YouTube library, AMP YouTube library. So this is how AMP components for the YouTube embed looks like. So you have data video ID in which you add the video ID, add the layout, add the width and height, and that's it. So this is how you add the extended component, CD and AMP project, and this is the AMP YouTube library that you have to include. So finding the right components, these are few tips what can help you actually to get a good component of your choice. The first thing you have to do is go to the AMP documentation, and we will see how you can actually do that. So for example, if you want to add something like AMP like carousel, which are available over there as AMP carousel. So this will be simply, for example, carousel are a way in which you can make slides on your screen, right? So we will go to the AMP documentation. Obviously you can drag all the way to see and try to find carousel over here, but some like smarter one, more smarter than me, will actually go and actually search it out over here. So if you go and search carousel, you will be able to see AMP carousel. There are different options of carousel, you can all try it. And for this one, let's go ahead and see what AMP carousel actually does. So it will tell you everything, what is the required script, what are the supported layout. You can also see different examples of how a carousel looks like, and you also have a live demonstration. How cool is it? So that is what you have to actually do. There are different ways, formats of carousel. Some of them have thumbnails on bottom, some of them are like buttons inward, and there are many other examples. So you can use go to the carousel option, and you can see all the different you know examples that are available. We'll talk about carousels in tomorrow's session in detail of what other things are available in carousel. So some questions that people generally ask about components: what does this component do? How do I use this component? How can I customize this component with my attributes? How I can style this component? Does this component needs to own a script tag? What layout does this component support? For everything you have a simple answer. Go to AMP documentation and see it for yourself. You don't need to learn anything, you just need to go to AMP documentation and you will see everything that is related to that component. So it has description, behavior, attribute, styling, and required script, which you can go to see the answers to all these questions that you had in your mind. This is an example of AMP carousel again, of how it is implemented, and these were the attributes that we were seeing. So now we will be creating an image slideshow, as I promised, of how you can create an image slideshow inside AMP. So for this, we will use a component that is called AMP carousel. So you can add this above the YouTube video you just added, and you have to use the carousel type as slides, and you have to include all the images. We will see with this example. So this is the solution that is available. Okay, let me go ahead and answer one of the questions from Jyoti. For a normal website, do we need to make two versions of app for phone and normal one for desktop, or AMP one will work both for phone and desktop? So Jyoti, yeah, of course, AMP can do everything. So whatever you imagine. So in your case, if you, it's a simple website, AMP version will work fine both for mobile and desktop. No problem. You don't need to create any different versions. Is there a AMP search engine to search AMP pages? There is no definite way to actually search for AMP pages. If you just go on Google on phone and try to Google anything, it will actually give you that bolt icon. That is the only way to find it. There is no way that you can find all AMP pages on the internet that are available. So let getting back to our solution about how to implement a slideshow. So for this, we are using this widget called as AMP Carousel. And AMP Carousel has these properties called as width, height, then layout, the type of layout that you want to include. Then types will be slides. So slides type will be used in order to show everything as slides, like how you have in the slides. And then inside AMP Carousel, you will have independent AMP IMG tags that will perform the job. So this is how we added a component inside component. AMP IMG component is used for images, and AMP carousel is for making it slideshow. So we add AMP IMG inside the carousel. So whatever you add inside AMP carousel as a different div, AMP carousel will treat it as single slide. So a very interesting example that you can see. Again, you can go and add the AMP carousel as an extended component inside your head tag. So discovering your new component, the easiest way to is to go regularly on documentation. Also follow AMP's Twitter handle. They whenever they release any new component, they always tweet about it. So you'll be getting to know any cool, kind of component that is coming in the market. So sometimes you may not find the component that you are finding for, like, so you can go to their GitHub page and request for that component, or you can go ahead and write some more code and create a component yourself. That would be a very cool thing to do. So that's all about components. This is again a reference of how component looks. You can also try AMP by example. This is the playground thing that I was talking about. You don't need to copy and paste code to your editor and run it. You can directly run it inside AMP playground and see how the things behave. So with this, let's go to the last exercise of today's session, that is adding a social sharing link. If you're creating a page like a YouTube page or something like the example that we are doing, that is Cheetos cheese bikes. I don't know if I pronounced it rightly. So you would like to have a share button so that you can easily share these things on the internet. So AMP has a component called as AMP social share, which can be used in order to share any other platform. This is also a widely used component. If you are not using AMP share, then you have to use custom HTML buttons, of course, which is a very old way to. You have to import the icon separately and things like that. But AMP social share actually helps you include these buttons automatically. So the way to implement it is you create a div inside which you will be having all your social buttons. Then you will use AMP social share, add the type as whatever type you want to use, add the width and height, and that's it. Your AMP social share will be imported. Now you will be wondering what are the different types of social media platforms that are supported to share. You can just go back to AMP documentation. Let's search for AMP social share. So you see these are all the examples of these things that are available. So, and these are the different types that we were talking about on which you can actually share your AMP document. You can do it on email, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Tumblr, Twitter, WhatsApp, Line, and SMS. So you can go over here and see how you can add different sharing options directly inside it without writing any other native mobile code. So this is the way how you can add the extended component of social share. So that's all. Let's do a quick conclusion of what we saw today. We saw how actually AMP is able to create accessible and performant site. How you can actually create your AMP website from start by adding the AMP boilerplate code. How you can add the validator and that will help you fix different errors with AMP. How AMP cache actually help optimize your website and loads your page faster from Google server. Then what are components, how you implement components, and how you can find things on documentation. Where to write link of social media channels. You don't need to write social media links of that channel. Actually, what you are doing during the share part, you are giving a shortcut so that a person can directly share your document on which he is right now to any of these platforms. So you just need to include the name of the platform, and natively that thing will open up. So that's the way to do it. Cool. So this is what we have learned, and this is what we have built. We have used images, carousel, YouTube video, social sharing links. That are the most important parts of any website. This created our simple looking website, and this is ready to go as a starting one. And with this, we have finally created our first AMP page. So the